Alright guys, this is part 2 of this video where I'm building these trailer ramps, converting them to a fold-up style. Right here I'm getting these brackets tacked on, and this is still where we picked up from the last video where my microphone died and I didn't realize it. And also, it was getting pretty late this day, and my camera died, I think, at the point where I was welding the brackets on this side up solid. It actually died. And I was in a hurry. I wanted to get both sides done that day. So once it dies, I just left it off. And actually, that whole time there is no audio. So I'll probably try to do a voiceover this whole time. It's probably about 5 minutes or so. But I've got that one tacked on, and then I'm measuring out for 30 inches, 2.5 feet inside the inside of these brackets. So I'm getting that marked. And then I take my grinder and I grind the paint off of it. And then I've also, on these brackets, I've put a good bevel on both the long sides and then the top and bottom, just so I can get a good weld on it. Now, I speed it up right here because I'm just grinding the paint off. And notice I need to grind a little more. And then I just take my shaft and put it in here and hold it up with a jack stand. All that's really doing is kind of helping hold that bracket on there. And then I can focus more on getting it level with the top of the trailer and then getting it square on each side at a perfect 90 degrees. And I've got it close to where I want it, so I go ahead and throw a tack on it. And I gotta say, this little Hobart welder, I think I mentioned it in the last video, but I'm really impressed with it. I've had it probably 5 years now, and you can put the big spools of wire on it, and I've probably went through 3 or 4 big spools of wire on it, and it's done really well. I have no complaints on it. But I'm getting these brackets mounted on here. And then, as you can see, I also talked about this in the last video, that shaft is not fitting that hole on the brackets very well. But after I get the brackets welded on where I want them, I just take the shaft and I actually made a 1/16 of an inch little shim that I can shove in there between the shaft on the bottom, and that centers it up in the hole. Then I just center it side to side, and it puts it perfectly in the middle of them holes. And that gives me a good little gap to fill up with weld around that shaft, and it makes it really, really solid. And right here, I've got everything tacked up, and I'm just testing out this ramp. I'm going to make sure it works before I weld it all solid. And time for the first test. That's so much easier than picking them up, putting them on the trailer and strapping them down, or throwing them in the bed of the truck. It's so much nicer. But everything looks good, so I take it back off. And then right here, I go ahead and I just weld everything solid since I got it where I want it. And I think after this little clip is whenever I get some audio again in the video. And I think I grinded such a big bevel on them pieces. I do a one pass to fill up that gap all the way at the bottom really good. And then I come back and do another pass with the welder and really fill in the rest of it. And it's really, really strong. I'm happy with the way that turned out. And also, I forgot to mention, you can use gas on this welder, but I'm actually using flux core. I think it's 035 wire, and flux core, it burns a little hotter, so it's definitely penetrating a little bit better than it would with gas on this welder. But I think here in just a minute is whenever we get some audio back. It's actually the next day. So the other evening, my battery died in my camera and I was in a hurry anyways, so I just turned the camera off and went ahead and finished getting these ramps put on here. I've got it all welded up, and I even got a coat of primer on it. And add a little detail on these holes I put in these pieces that I didn't share. I drilled, this is 1 inch shaft. I drilled these holes out 1.125 inches, so I had a good 1/16 of an inch gap all the way around, so I could get a nice solid weld in there. That actually turned out really well on these. But I've got them both on there. All I like is cutting the strap to hold them. And I got to weld some pins on the sides of them and then on the sides of the trailer. I'm going to cut up this old piece that the ramps used to hook onto to make those. Let's get that started. Alright, I got this thing bent good enough for who it's for. It's not nowhere near perfect, but it looks like it'll fit just fine on the trailer doing what it's going to be doing. So that's that. Now all I got to do, I need to put a 1/2 inch hole in each end to go on the pin. That's what we'll do now. This stuff's 2 inches wide. Center it up an inch, and then come an inch back. In my cross. Get both ends marked. Center punched. There's that. Now, do it in the vise. I'm just going to drill me a pilot hole with it, and I'll step it up to a 1/2 inch just to make it a little bit easier drilling. Get my hole. It's easier to get a smaller drill bit where you want it than it is a bigger drill bit. Little Earl spray on this thing. That. Step it up for a bigger bit. Hole reverse. Get it. There we go. There's one side done.
Alright, so everything is welded, cleaned, and at least primered. I only had about a half a can of black paint, so I painted what I could, and I'll have to get some more paint. But that's all I like now is finish up the painting, and this will be done. All right, I'm gonna call this project complete. I'm happy with how they turned out. I got paint on them. Should be ready to use. Don't really have nothing to haul with them right now, so I can't test them out, but I think they will work. One thing I'm a little worried about, but I don't think it'll really matter, is I probably should have made my supports here just a little bit longer. They're probably, I don't know, a couple inches off the ground, but once you get some weight on them, they should hit the ground. Yeah, I can almost get them to the ground with me just standing on them, so I'm not real worried about that. But all in all, I'm happy with how they turned out, and I appreciate y'all watching.